JT Crowley is Talking Books. On this show, you'll hear from emerging talent and seasoned veterans from around the world.
Hello, everyone. I'm JT Crowley, and I'm the host of Talking Book Show on Web Talk Radio. And today, I have the great delight to welcome back again Linda Harkey to talk about one of her children's books, The Great Animal Escape. And the illustrator this time is Jeff Yesh. When you look at the illustrations, everybody, they are fantastic. They're bright, they're colourful, they're vivid, and they really do bring the book to the fore, which every illustration book needs. But the storyline's fantastic. And as I put in my written introduction, everybody, wow, wow, wow. Woo! So I'm going to shut up because I'm going to invite Linda onto the show to talk about herself again and about this book that she's poured her heart and soul into it, The Great Animal Escape. Linda, come and join me.
Thank you, John. I'm glad to be here again. I always enjoy being with you.
I know. I think this is our third time.
Right.
We must have some connection here, everybody.
Definitely.
Now, Linda, before we open the book, would you care to remind the audience as to who you are and what's the story behind the story of this book? Because I'm a great believer that a book has a story behind it. There's always two stories to a book. So just remind us who you are and where did this book come from?
I will begin in a short phase, so to speak, or giving you a short idea of it. I'm Linda Harkey, and all of my life I've loved animals and also children, and I did teach before. And my husband and I also raised a lot of hunting dogs. So a lot of my inspiration for animals came from those, because all animals have different personalities. This inspiration for this story, which I did pour my heart and soul into, came from many trips that my husband and I made back and forth from Oklahoma to Angel Fire, New Mexico, where we lived for quite a while. On the way, we ran across an area in which we would see lots of cows, but they were interned in what you would call a place in which they would, a slaughterhouse, so to speak, although you wouldn't see that. So in my mind, I was thinking, I wonder how it would be if cows could go to a retirement place in which they actually would be able to live out all of their life. And so that was kind of the inspiration for this particular story. And other than that, the story consists of the four characters, like you said, and I believe you will be asking me more questions about that. So that's basically it.
I will be asking more questions. Now, there are 9 chapters to this book, everybody. So it's a chapter book, and it's really aimed at middle grade young readers. Now, I'm also aware that, children, young adults all have different reading abilities. So this book can be read by the child themselves, or sometimes it's great just for a mum or dad or a parenting person just to sit down and read the story with them. And sometimes for grandparents, spending a little time with their grandchildren and reading a book. This is what this book really is aimed at. So let's have a look at these chapters. So as I said, there are 9 chapters. Now, the first chapter is going to cooking school. That's what it's called.
Right.
You don't want to go there, everybody. And here we've got the main 2 characters, Loverball, who's a dark red Hereford bull, and Mud Pie, she's an Angus cow. And they're enchanting characters. And the colours in the illustrations are fantastic. And when you look at the first illustration, it is of, it's like about a school bus, but it's got on there, it's bright red, everybody. The colour is amazing. And, it's got, if I look at it, Cowlick Ranch Cooking School Bus. Avoid that one if you're a cow. So, Linda, what's this little opening chapter all about? Lovable and mud pie.
It is about the introduction of the animals to all of the children. And in the beginning, a lot of the cows are getting on this bus, the cows and the bulls, to go to cooking school. But two didn't go on it. And that's
No.
Lovable, the bull, and also Mud Pie, the cow. And they were underneath a yellow aspen tree when they heard a sound, and that was Bernie, who was a raven, and Bernie fell on Mud Pie. And and Bernie wanted to know what they were doing. And he said, I heard that a lot of the animals are going to the cooking school. And Lovable said, oh, it's not a cooking school to learn how to make hamburgers. It's a cooking school to have hamburgers made out of us. We didn't want to go, so we're going to escape. And so Bernie was real excited to go on the adventure with them. And so that's basically what the first chapter is all about, is the setup for the whole story.
And Bernie, yes, he's a raven, but he's a chick.
Right.
And if you look behind Linda there on the drawing, the illustration there's Bernie, the little blue raven. He's a little chick. He's only a few days old, but he's fallen out the nest. Now,
I can show you.
Oh, yeah. Show us, yeah.
Okay. This is what they call a large version of this story, and it's a large book. And so here's the picture, and I was going to show you this, if the people can see this.
Look at that bright red bus, everybody.
There's the bus.
Yeah.
And that's going to the cooking school. And
you don't
then
want to go there.
Is the picture. And Bernie is up, and you can see Lovable, and you can see Mud Pie, and Bernie's up there in the large nest. And raven nests were very large, and they were made out of all sorts of things, cow hair and straw and all kinds of things. And so Bernie fell out of the tree, and the cows were so used to animals falling that they just didn't pay attention. But Bernie fell onto Mud Pie. And so you can see this right there. And Mud Pie's saying, is that you, Bernie?
Aren't the illustrations fantastic, everybody?
Yeah.
Now keep your book there.
Yeah, I am.
Now, Planning the Escape, Chapter 2. So where are you taking us here with Lovable and Mud Pie? And with Bernie, one of the silver black raven chicks. But I'm more interested in asking you, who's Blue Moon? Where are you taking us here?
Okay. Blue Moon is a Chihuahuan raven. And Blue Moon always got confused. She would fly from Mexico to the Cowlick Ranch, which is where the animals were, and back again because she got confused as to where her nest was. And so you can see her right here, but she gossiped a lot. And so she's the one that told Lovable that hamburgers were going to be made out of them. So Blue Moon is the one that gave them all of the information. And
I love the hat on Blue Moon.
Love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's
they're planning an escape then, are they?
They are planning an escape to the cow retirement ranch. They had heard about a cow retirement ranch where you could live your life out and not to worry about having hamburgers made out of you. So that's where they are going to go on their way, but they have to have somebody to guide them. And that is going to end up being Gracie. And she's a burro.
Oh, we're coming to her.
Yeah.
She is. Now, she's in chapter 3, everybody. So let's go to chapter 3. And this you've headed up, Escape from Cowlick Ranch. I like Gracie the burrow. But I think,
Gracie,
oh, poor Bernie.
yeah,
You
Bernie
know. And
fell
of course, we've got
in.
Lovable and Mud Pie. We're off on a journey. Where are you taking us on the journey, Linda?
I am going to take you on the journey, but we have to go on the journey. You have to plan. And so Bernie decided that when he was going to go, he was going to get a worm, and that would feed all of them on the way because they needed a snack. And poor Bernie, the snack would not feed all of the different animals. And so here they are, and the poor little worm got away
Ah,
from Bernie as he was trying to go with them. And Gracie, and we're introducing Gracie in this chapter, and Gracie's the one who says, "Come on, Bernie, you can get on my back," because on Mud Pie's back, Bernie kept falling off. So on Gracie could bend down and get Bernie on her back so that she could help guide them away from the cowlick ranch.
oh, now we're coming, everybody, to the next chapter. They are short chapters because this book is for young kids. But it is starting to get kids used to chapters. So we've gone from an overall story to chapters. This is the big difference here. And because, young children need to realize that there are chapters in books. And this is why Linda's done her book this time like this, 9 chapters.
Right.
Now, she flashed chapter 4 in front of us there, everybody. And I said, whoa, hang on here, Linda. Now, this is chapter 4, headed up The Lightning Storm. And the illustrations are fabulous. And it's a night scene. Cougars, mountain lions. Of course, where the story is set, you do get the mountain lions. And here's the illustrations. And there you can see everybody, Lovable, Mud Pie, and Gracie the burrow, and Bernie resting under a tree. But I shouldn't be telling the story here. Linda should be doing it. So, Linda, you tell the
Actually, you're doing
story.
an absolutely fabulous job. So they're resting under the tree, and Bernie gets concerned, and he's wondering what's going to happen with his family when they find out. And are they going to be mad at him? And then all of a sudden, lightning strikes, and lightning sets the tree that you see here on fire. And here are the animals right down here, and they're scared, and they're jumping around. So they get all excited about it. Then Gracie says, well, we need to go because the rain stopped a little bit, and they decided to go ahead and go even when it was nighttime. And Gracie says, I'll go first with Bernie on my back. Lovable, you take care of the back because you can guard us from any kind of animals. And then Mud Pie would guard the middle. They keep going, but along the way, they sense something. They don't see them yet, but you, the reader, can see them. And it is, and I'm not going to give her name yet, a mountain lion with her two cubs. And she's out teaching them to hunt for food because they couldn't go to a grocery store. Animals don't go to grocery stores. They have to get their food from hunting. So this is what you will see in the story. And then Gracie says, you know what? I think if I can just find that one spot, we can cross from the Cowlick Ranch and we can go across a dirt path and we can go to the duck pond and then we'll get to the cow retirement ranch. So Gracie comes up to a part of the fence where it's got part of the wire off. And so Gracie says, okay, Lovable, you knock it down so that we can get through and go to freedom. Lovable backs up. He paws his way and then he rushes into the fence. And look what he did. He actually got through the fence. So now they're on their way to freedom. But they first have to go across a dirt path with some more adventure.
So let's have a look at this adventure. And because this is chapter 5 that Linda's about to take us and talk about. Headed up, four-wheeled, two-eyed monsters. A little twist to the storyline here, Linda.
Yes,
I'll let you tell this one.
right. Animals see things different than all of us humans. And so, in writing a story for children or for anybody, you have to use it from the perspective of what characters you're using. And mine, of course, are animals. Well, here, look up here. This could be the four-wheeled, two-eyed monster, and it's the color of blue, and you can see it right there. And it comes along the dirt path, but along the way, poor old Mud Pie, Gracie and Bernie ran across that mud path really quick to the other side. But Lovable and Mud Pie were way behind. And Mud Pie started to go across that path, and then she got scared and she stopped and she started twisting her tail. Because in my stories, I usually will tell you, the reader, a little bit about each of the animals and some of their characteristics. And so sometimes cows would really twist their tails when they got nervous or anxious. And that's what Mud Pie was doing. And she could hear something, and she says to Lovable, "What is that? What is it that I hear?" And Lovable says, "Don't worry. I'll protect you from whatever it is." And there's a close-up of that big monster truck. So Lovable decides, I've got to protect Mud Pie. So he gets out there to charge the four-wheeled monster. But the four-wheeled monster screeched and went off the path and kind of ended up like on a seesaw. And the owner, or the person, or the people, what we would call, gets out of the truck and kind of is in a daze and goes away. So Lovable has defeated the the four-wheeled, two-eyed monster. And so they're on their way again. And one thing that little Bernie can do, Bernie can smell water. So Bernie gets on top of Gracie and smells water. And water, they want to get to the duck pond.
So let's go to the duck pond, everyone. And this is going to be chapter 6, Safe at the Duck Pond. Are they? Now have a look at the illustrations here, everybody. Aren't they wonderful? Look at that. There you've got Blue Moon, there you've got Lovable, and you've got ducks in the pond, and it looks very peaceful. Or is it? Now there's an illustration in this chapter, everybody, and it's got 6 eyes. I'm saying no more.
To that.
Ooh.
And it's right here.
It is.
And what do you think that those eyes could be? They've been following the animals. And Gracie, they hear all the noise of it. And so Gracie gets all excited. And mules or burros are known for being able to kick if they can. And so Lovable says, "I'll help. Gracie, you kick, and I'll charge." So now we go to the next chapter. You go ahead.
We do. Now this is chapter 7, everyone, and it's headed up the
Huntress.
The Huntress.
The Huntress.
And now the Huntress, well, we saw earlier on in the book. So, and Linda said she wasn't going to tell us the name here. Well, there you are. It's the Huntress. So,
Yes.
talk to us about Huntress. Poor old Huntress. She's doing her best to teach her cubs
how to hunt. And she sees the animals and she thinks, well, they'll be tasty and I'll teach my cubs how to hunt for these animals. And so the Huntress is looking there. But Gracie says, it's a mountain lion. And Gracie had actually met Huntress before, a year ago. And Gracie was almost attacked by Huntress. But Huntress got sidetracked by another smaller animal like a rabbit or something like that. And so Gracie says, "You're Huntress. And I'm Gracie. You know me from a long time ago. And of course, the mountain lion says, "Oh, burros look the same. I don't know you. Burros always look the same, but they really don't." So they're going to protect, Gracie and Lovable are going to protect Mud Pie and poor little Bernie from the mountain lion. And here's Gracie. She kicks the mountain lion, and the mountain lion's beginning to think, is this really worth it for me to go after these animals? Maybe I'm just weak. But she gets really, really mad, and I'm just going to skip through some of this, so the children can actually read the whole story. But you can see Huntress right here, and her claws extend out, which is kind of interesting for animals. But anyway, she extends the claws so that she can go ahead and with her strong mouth, powerful mouth with the jaws, she's going to attack Gracie, and she comes right towards her. But something comes to the rescue.
It is, and that's in chapter 9. And it's ravens to the rescue, everyone.
Yeah.
Poor old Huntress. So here we've got, chapter 9, yes, ravens to the rescue. And chapter 8, and we're also going to talk about chapter 9, the retirement chapter.
Yes. And this is chapter 8 about the ravens, as John was saying. And look who's on top of the mountain lion. And old Bernie's over there just jumping on a little stump saying, "Wow, it's Mom, it's Mom. Look at Mom. She's going to fight the mountain lion." So Mom and Dad have come back to find Bernie, and they did. So she's up there on top of Huntress. And now look what she's doing. She's fighting with poor little Huntress. Huntress tries to get her off, but can't. But feathers go flying all over, and they're in a big, big, big fight. In the meantime, little Bernie saw the blue eyes. A lot of animals, when they're young, actually have blue eyes. Bernie had blue eyes as a chick when he was young, and so do the cubs. The mountain lion cubs have blue eyes just when they're young, and you can see them here, and they've got spots on them too. And so Bernie tries to tell them, "You can't." And they say, "We're ready to eat. We're hungry. We're learning how to hunt." And Bernie says, "Better not pick on us. Gracie, she's kind of tough. And Mud Pie and Lovable are really awfully old. And look at me. I'm so little. If you ate me, there wouldn't be much to eat. You wouldn't get anything to eat." So she talks them out of coming at him, rather. And all of a sudden, Mom gets tired because she's been fighting that mountain lion and she won. So she grabs Bernie and takes and flies Bernie away and tells Bernie, "You have to grow up now. It's time to go home." And so on the side, in a tree, Blue Moon had been watching the whole affair. And Blue Moon comes up to the mountain lion. The mountain lion Huntress has decided already that she's not interested in these animals anymore. She wants smaller animals. So Blue Moon comes up to her and says, "Psst, I can tell you something. Why don't you go to the cooking school? You can find all sorts of small animals there to eat, and they'll be better." So Blue Moon's trying to get Huntress to leave this area. And Huntress says to herself, "That's probably a pretty good idea. I think I might do that." And so Blue Moon says, "I'm telling you the truth. My tail feathers, I'm telling you the truth. You can find a lot of things." And Blue Moon's cawed, "I swear by my tail feathers, this is true," about going to the cooking school. Although you got to remember, Blue Moon really does gossip and kind of exaggerates on things. So the mountain lion and the cubs go ahead and leave. Now, everybody is getting calm again, and it's time for
Chapter 9.
chapter 9. where we are
Ready for retirement life.
And so they come up, and Gracie is reading the sign. They right over the duck pond, right behind the duck pond, they see the cow retirement ranch. And it says Rancher Gerard's Cow Retirement Ranch. And in smaller print, it says no gates, no fences, just happy cattle. And so months later, the cattle are sitting there, and Gracie stayed too. Some burros were there also. And so they're all sitting there at the cow retirement ranch, and they're really happy with Rancher Gerard. He gives them hugs and he gives them hay. But up here in a tree, we see a little creature, and we say, could it be Bernie? So maybe in the next book, something will happen and Bernie will be able to come back along with Blue Moon, and we'll find out another adventure. The end.
The end indeed. Now, when you look at the first picture in the bushes where you've got the 6 eyes, everybody, of course, you've got the 2 yellow eyes on the top. Well, that's Huntress. And the 4 blue eyes beneath her in the bushes. Well, of course, they're the 2 cubs. That's why there are 4 blue eyes and 2 yellow eyes. So there you go. You've had a brief introduction here into Linda's latest book, and she's already hinted that there's going to be more coming down the line. So tell us more. What's coming down the line, Linda?
Well.
Well.
Thank you, John. No, this is I love, and I think John expressed it a lot better than I have, and that is I love dealing with children. And for years I did teach, and I was a docent at 2 big museums for 20 some years in which we took children through museums. So what I've tried to do is combine, because I'm very visual, I combine illustrations with the text. And that way children can learn not just how to read, but they'll learn the visual points of the text itself, which I think is really good for children to learn. And children, when you're reading my books, put yourself inside the paintings or the illustrations, and then you can see what you can smell, what's inside the illustrations. You can say to yourself, what do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? What do I taste? And that way you learn, I think, books a lot better by using all of your 5 senses. So that's basically what I like to do. And I like to teach. This book is basically about friendships, different types of friends, teamwork, and also personalities. And hopefully that's what I've done, is to bring out personalities of my animals. That's one of the most important things. And that's it. So,
because at the end of your book, you've got little projects, haven't you?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. And I think having been a teacher at one time, a long, long time ago.
Once a teacher, always a teacher, everybody.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I like to have things for children to do with the teachers in the classroom concerning the book. And this could take, I mean, you could stretch this out as much as you want, or you could not stretch it out. And it covers a lot of the different subject matters. And you've got different reading guides, discussion questions, like while you're reading, who do you think is telling the story? And the narrator, of course, is who the story is, but the characters are basically telling my story. So that's just some of that. Also activities, like using Old MacDonald had a farm. The children can transport that into, and in this farm they had a cow. So you can go through the different animals. Also, what you can do is a reading guide, and there are many plants mentioned in the story, especially like the cottonwood tree, and there was a bush in there, so you can write those down. Another activity is, can you put the animals in the order in which they came in the book? So you can actually just kind of connect like where did the fat worm come? Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever? And so you can go all the way down. So this gives the children a way of learning about a book. And I think that's really important in books, especially because books should be fun. You gotta be fun. You gotta have fun books for children, but they also need to be able to learn some things, and it will help them remember the stories. So that's it.
And it engages the child as well, because then they're getting more involved into the story. And that's really what Linda is setting out to do. So you've done the book. Where can people get it?
They can get it through my website, harkeybooks.com, or through Amazon. Amazon has all of my books. I have 12 books that I've written now. So you can find them on Amazon. You can find them at Story Monsters Inc. or Story Monsters Press, Story Monsters LLC, and that's where my publisher is. So those are some of the places that you can get my book.
There you go, everyone. I would just like simply now to say to
Barnes and Noble, I apologize.
Barnes and Noble, yeah.
Yes.
Linda and I have known each other for a couple of years now, and I think as I said, I think this is the third interview that we've done about, her books. And this podcast was really to concentrate on the great animal escape, because that's what, we wanted to focus on. But when you look at the written introduction, you'll see the list of all the other books that she's written, and they are fun. And the Hickory Dock series I loved, because in there was the dogs are, you can correct me if I'm right, are German short-haired pointers.
Absolutely. You're right. You're correct.
And my favorite one, everyone, was Zeke. He thought he was a cut above the rest of the pack. I love Zeke.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to interrupt you, John. But in the website on harkeybooks.com, you will see a picture of Zeke and Bud, which is called Dog, in there. And it's really, Zeke, when you see Zeke has a personality of his own. He was truly almost human, if you really want to know the honest truth. And he was a character. He truly was.
So go and have a look at her webpage, everybody.
Yeah.
I simply have to say, Linda Harkey, thank you very much for coming on my show again. It's been a huge pleasure chatting to you and working with you. And she is a multi-award winning author, everybody. So when you look at the introduction, go and have a look at all the awards that this book has been given. There are lots of them. Like all her other books, she collects awards like most people collect rosettes. I'm not going any further. Just go and have a look, everybody. Linda Harkey, thank you so much for joining me on the show again.
I'm humbled and thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
So there you go.
Okay.
I'm Josie Crowley. Thanks for listening. Wherever you're in the world, until next time, stay safe.